Hey there, folks. A friend of mine just went to his first pen show and bought a nice old Waterman, and I'm sure he's going to have lots of fun with it. And I just thought I would show him and to show you that there's, as you might know, there's a lot of variety in a lot of different pens. So I'm just going to take pens at random from my desk here, and I'm just dipping them because they may not be filled or have a sac in them. So, but these would hold ink. So let's just make a couple of things here. So I don't know what this is going to be. This is going to be a running skeleton. Maybe I'll draw skeletons. Maybe all of them will be skeletons. Look, we make a mess here. That's not supposed to happen. It's like when you're buying a car and it can't make it up a hill. You have to make up a story. There was a World War I flying ace, U.S. hat-in-the-ring squadron ace named Eddie Rickenbacker, and he was a car salesman before the World War I, and he was showing a car, and he was going up a hill, and he could sense that the car was not going to make it up the hill, so he slammed on the brakes, and he said, "Look how great these brakes are," and ended up selling the car because the brakes were so good. So this is a Waterman T-Arman. What is this pen? I'll just say number 2 nib. Okay, that's a Waterman number 2 nib. So that goes like that. Let's see what that one's done. Let's see what this does. This is a Sheaffer Feather Touch. Gosh, I don't have ink here. What's going on? This is a disaster. This is not supposed to be happening. But again, I'm putting them too far in the ink, I guess. This is a Sheaffer desk pen that has a really, really fine nib. Breastbone, elbow, hand. I don't know what's going on here with his eyes, teeth, spinal cord. He's half human, half frog, it looks like. Let's make him a frog. Webbed toes. Okay, 2 down. Sheaffer, put that away. Let's try this one. This is a slightly stub skyline. This pen wants me to draw in straight lines. No, I can draw in curved lines, but this one wants me to draw in straight lines. I'm listening to it. It's telling me, draw in straight lines and don't be slow about it. Dip, dip, dip. This doesn't have a lot of range. This is probably better for a calligrapher than a skyline, than an artist, because it's just doing things that a calligrapher would appreciate and an artist might find annoying. Its nib is slightly stubby, angular, and it wants to drive in two directions. It doesn't really like going in lots of different directions. So that's a Skyline pen. Let's see what other ones we have here. Let's try this one. This is a Sheaffer flexible nib pen. I do calligraphy with this, but I also love drawing with it. This is a embryonic skeleton. A Sheaffer Lifetime pen with a flexible nib, and for those of people that know flexible nibs, or rather Sheaffer's flexible nibs and Sheaffers of this era are pretty rare. Sheaffer nibs are known for being very firm. But when you get a Sheaffer nib that has a flexible nib, you're in for a treat, usually. Waterman pens, I always would love finding a Waterman pen at a flea market or an antique shop, because I always imagined it having a flexible nib, and most of the time it did. Sheaffer nibs, when I would see them, would never quite excite me, because 9 times out of 10 they had a very firm nib, but I've learned to like firm. This is a Sheaffer. Okay, let's see. I'm going to show you now one of my Franken pens. Now, these are pens that originally started their life out looking like this. They have a very fine, flexible nib. These are not always good for drawing, but they are good for calligraphy. Occasionally you can find one that can work for drawing. And you can draw with all of these. I mean, there's no reason why you can't. But I just worry about artists and these pens, because this guy's knock-legged. But look at those lines. Just so springy. Knock-kneed. This is a Franken pen. I'm just going to say Franken pen. It has this fine hairline, but also this great springy quality. And again, you sort of have to be very aware of the direction you're aiming the pen, which I think an artist in their exuberances of creation may end up pressing too hard at the wrong time. This is just obscene, this one. I mean, this nib is, it's like writing with a stick of wet butter, and it doesn't write very well. So I think that particular nib it's not really made of gold. It's made of it's made of butter. It's made of wet butter. This one is made of gold, but acts like it's made of wet butter, warm butter. But look at this thing. And its skeleton is just weird that it's making. It's a two-headed skeleton. Siamese skeleton. And I wouldn't trust this pen with an artist unless they promised on a stack of phone books or whatever they believe, a stack of smartphone books, that they would never, ever, ever break this pen and only aim the nib in certain directions and not to draw anything. You know, it requires a lot more control. Look at that, though. Oops. Franken pen. It's just, you know, it's going to take about a week and a half to dry. Okay, that's enough. Franken pens are really seductive, but I don't think as a drawer one would like it. Okay, now I'm going to look for fine nibbed pens. Where are my fine nibbed pens? There. No, that's a stub pen. No. Yes. Yes. Okay, this is a very, very fine Eagle pen. Fuck. I'm going to draw the tiniest little skeleton here. Can I zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing? I thought I felt my cat join us. Okay, this is an Eagle pen. Eagle pen. Draw another one here. Pen Whispers. This is draw a very tiny Eagle pen. That goes over there. This is a Schaefer, another very fine Schaefer. Big hips on this one. Knee, elbow, elbow. It's the fineness, though, on some of these you have to really, you almost have to lift up on the pen. If you put the pen on the paper, that's applying too much pressure. You have to pull the pen off the paper to gently have it barely touch. Okay, what other pen can I show here? Here's an old Waterman 56, I think, number 6 nib. This is sort of similar to ones we've already talked about, but opposable thumb, big toe, pinky, hip, hip. Waterman. No, 55. I'll call it. It's probably a 56. The numbering system on pens is the size of the gold nib. It's not the size of the line it makes. Has nothing to do with any of that. It's just the size of this piece of gold. This is a number 2. Well, this is a number 5 or 6. I can't tell. So it's just a bigger piece of chunk of gold there. Let's try one more pen. Let's do this one. This is another Waterman, and this has I'm pressing this against my fingernail so you can see it spread, and it barely budges. This is a very firm nib. And why would you want a firm nib when you're drawing? Well, you can if you want to really apply lots of pressure. This is oddly satisfying. Sometimes you just want to do that. You want to work. His ribs go the wrong way on this creature. Or maybe his ribs are here. He's wearing a tutu. He's a dancer. She's a dancer. Bigger hips. There we go. This is a Waterman. This is really firm, rigid, I'll say, rigid. There is a variety of line you can get, but you have to work at it. It's not a this piece of butter is frozen. It's a frozen piece of butter, not a wet, warm, melty butter. Oh dear. God, they're all just so different. And they may not look different to you when you look at all of these, but they are different in the hand. They're different in the line they make. The experiences are all very different. This is a Conklin Crescent. And this, if I remember correctly, has a really springy nib. Yep, I'm remembering correctly. Really just a joy to write with. What's going on here with his hands? Okay, I'll make him, he'll be a juggler. A juggler. Juggling 3 tangerines. While balancing on 2 balls. Conklin. So, just very, very, very different. All so different, which is why I need all of these pens. And not just those pens. I need pens in here, pens in there, pens in there, and I need pens all over the house. This is just what I can reach with my arm. If I get off my fat ass and go to the other room, you'll see more pens. And more pens still. And then after that, there's still some more pens. So, but they all are so different. They're so different. From this one to that one to, they're all different. I just take my word, they're all different. Just take my word for it. You will, of course. Bye.